Picture this. Imagine having $650 million in assets while almost nobody around you has any idea. Your neighbors don't know, your friends don't know. The waitress who has served you coffee every week for years doesn't know. You aren't actively hiding your wealth. You simply live in a way that gives people no reason to suspect it exists. While countless people spend their lives trying to look rich, you quietly became rich. The strange part is that there was never a dramatic moment when it happened. No champagne celebration, no flashy announcement, no social media posts declaring victory. Maybe the milestone appeared in a routine portfolio report that arrived in your inbox on an ordinary Tuesday morning while you were busy comparing plumbing supplies at a hardware store. Now picture someone else. He wears a designer t-shirt that costs hundreds of dollars. His luxury SUV has a custom paint finish. He talks about investments, business deals, and future opportunities every chance he gets. Every conversation seems designed to reinforce an image of success. Every purchase appears carefully selected to communicate status. One person owns hundreds of millions of dollars in productive assets while fixing a drainage problem at a laundromat. The other spends his evenings performing success at networking events. The contrast raises an important question. How can two people approach money so differently and end up with completely different realities? One appears wealthy but remains financially vulnerable. The other appears ordinary while possessing near-complete financial freedom. The distance between appearance and reality has never been larger. The real question becomes this: what is each person actually building? Modern culture often teaches people to recognize wealth through visible signals. Luxury vehicles, designer clothing, expensive watches, exclusive vacations, large homes, premium brands. These things are treated as evidence of financial success. But evidence and reality are not always the same thing. Consider the average new vehicle purchase. Many consumers spend tens of thousands of dollars on vehicles and commit themselves to years of monthly payments. Those payments quietly consume income month after month while creating the appearance of prosperity. Meanwhile, someone with extraordinary wealth might drive a practical vehicle they purchased years ago with cash. From the outside, one person looks richer. From the inside, the opposite may be true. A person making large car payments could easily spend nearly $10,000 every year simply maintaining the image associated with a luxury vehicle. Invest that same amount consistently over decades, and the numbers become astonishing. The true cost of status isn't usually the purchase price. The true cost is what that money could have become if it had been invested instead. The people who quietly build wealth understand this difference. They focus on ownership. Others focus on appearance. Let's call this approach stealth wealth architecture. This is the deliberate construction of financial security through practical, often boring assets that solve everyday problems and generate consistent cash flow. The key word is architecture. The goal isn't to look successful. The goal is to build systems that continue producing value whether anyone notices them or not. Most people ignore opportunities because they seem too ordinary. A vending machine in a hospital hallway, a small laundromat, a parking lot, a cleaning company, a billboard beside a highway. These assets rarely attract attention. Nobody posts photos of them online. Nobody brags about them at dinner parties. Yet many of them quietly generate income year after year. That is what makes them powerful. The journey toward genuine wealth often begins with a simple question: who owns this? You notice a vending machine sitting in the corner of a building. Most people walk past it without a second thought. A wealth builder becomes curious. Who owns it? How much revenue does it generate? How much does it cost to maintain? How many machines would be needed to create meaningful cash flow? Suddenly, what looked like an ordinary object becomes a business system. You realize that a machine generating a modest amount of profit every month requires very little attention. One machine becomes several. Several become dozens. The amount of money isn't the most important thing at first. The lesson is, the machine proves that a system can generate income without requiring constant labor. That realization changes everything. Suppose you purchase a used vending machine for less than $1,000. You place it in a location with steady traffic. The first month generates less than $200 in profit. Most people would dismiss the result. They would compare it to overtime pay and conclude it isn't worth the effort. But the wealth builder sees something different. The money itself is not the victory. The proof is the machine worked, the system functioned. Income appeared from an asset rather than from labor. That concept is worth far more than the initial profit, because once a system works once, it can often be repeated. The next step is recognizing patterns. A laundromat operates on a similar principle. People always need clean clothes. That need exists during economic booms. It exists during recessions. It exists regardless of political changes, stock market performance, or technology trends. The need remains constant. A modest laundromat may not be glamorous. It won't attract headlines. It won't become a viral startup. Yet it can generate reliable cash flow month after month. The same logic applies to parking lots. Cars need places to park. Businesses need cleaning services. Advertisers need locations for signs. Apartment buildings need maintenance. Storage facilities need management. These businesses are often ignored because they lack excitement. Ironically, that lack of excitement can become a competitive advantage. When everyone else chases trends, opportunities often remain in the ordinary. One of the most overlooked truths about wealth creation is that many fortunes are built through extremely boring assets. Not every wealthy person made money through groundbreaking technology or revolutionary innovation. Many built wealth by owning practical systems that solved everyday problems. The world constantly needs transportation, cleaning, storage, food distribution, property maintenance, laundry services, parking. These activities are not exciting, but they are necessary, and necessity creates demand. Demand creates cash flow. Cash flow creates wealth. The formula isn't complicated. What makes it difficult is that most people are attracted to exciting stories rather than dependable systems. Look at individuals who have accumulated significant wealth over decades. Many share surprisingly similar behaviors. They don't constantly discuss money. They don't feel pressure to impress strangers. They don't need external validation to confirm their success. Because their identity isn't connected to appearance, when someone knows they possess substantial financial security, the need to prove it disappears. The opposite often happens with people who are trying to appear wealthy. The less secure they feel financially, the more visible the performance becomes. Luxury becomes communication. Purchases become statements. Every item serves as evidence. The display grows louder because the underlying foundation remains weaker. There is another benefit to quiet wealth that people rarely discuss: privacy. The moment people know you possess substantial resources, relationships often change. Not necessarily because people become malicious, simply because awareness changes behavior. Conversations shift, expectations appear, requests increase. People begin responding to your money rather than to you. A quiet wealth builder understands this. The practical vehicle isn't an act of humility, it's a strategy. The ordinary clothing isn't self-denial, it's protection. Remaining unremarkable allows you to move through life with fewer complications. Ordinary appearance creates freedom. If building wealth quietly is so effective, why do so many intelligent people choose the opposite path? The answer is psychology. Many financial decisions are filtered through one question: what will other people think? Will this impress them? Will this increase my status? Will this make me appear successful? External validation becomes the objective. The purchase stops being about usefulness. It becomes about perception. This is a dangerous way to make financial decisions because perception is never satisfied. There is always a newer car, a larger house, a more expensive watch, a better vacation. The performance never ends, and maintaining it becomes increasingly expensive. The alternative is focusing entirely on architecture rather than appearance. Start by paying attention to ordinary businesses. Look around your city. Observe what people consistently need. Notice assets that generate income regardless of trends. Ask simple questions. Who owns this? How does it make money? What are the costs? What are the risks? Could this system operate without constant involvement? The goal is not excitement. The goal is reliability. Needs-based assets tend to outperform attention-based assets over long periods because human needs remain remarkably consistent. People need transportation. People need housing. People need cleaning services. People need food. People need storage. Those realities rarely disappear. Many investors spend years chasing opportunities that sound exciting. The next startup, the next market trend, the next explosive opportunity. Meanwhile, boring assets quietly continue working. They don't demand constant attention. They don't require daily monitoring. They simply solve problems and collect revenue. In many cases, boring is beautiful. Boring means predictable. Predictable means manageable. Manageable means scalable. And scalable systems create wealth. Most people think compounding is simply a mathematical process. Interest earning interest, returns generating additional returns. That is certainly part of it. But true compounding begins with systems. A single profitable asset proves a concept. One successful vending machine demonstrates that the architecture works. A second reinforces it. A third strengthens it. Over time, small systems become larger systems. The scale changes dramatically. The principle does not. The person who eventually owns hundreds of millions of dollars often feels the same satisfaction from a functioning system that they felt when the first small asset produced its first modest profit. Because money is not the most important part. The architecture is. Ultimately, everything comes down to a simple choice. Do you want to look wealthy, or do you want to become wealthy? One path revolves around visibility. It requires constant maintenance, constant spending, constant proof. The performance never ends. The other path focuses on ownership. Systems, cash flow, patience. The results arrive slowly, then suddenly. Years pass, assets accumulate, options expand. One day you realize you possess freedoms that many people only pretend to have. Freedom to choose meaningful work, freedom to help others, freedom to take risks, freedom to ignore trends, freedom to live according to your own priorities. That is what real wealth provides. Not attention, not applause, not admiration, freedom. The next paycheck you receive will move you in one direction or the other, toward architecture, or toward performance, toward ownership, or toward appearance, toward systems that quietly generate value, or toward symbols designed to impress people. Real wealth never needs an audience. It doesn't require validation. It exists whether anyone notices it or not. The question is simple. What are you actually building?